get started shortly. Obviously, we're very much appreciate questions. So while we have a question period at the end, if anyone has any questions while we talk, please feel free to raise your hand, ask away. So with that being said, it is what it is. So my name is Tom Ryan. I'm the director of RCIT at Rutgers Camden. We're a campus-wide computing group. I was formerly with the law school. I still support the law school, but now we support a lot more people. As some of you may or may not know, Rutgers Camden Law School and Rutgers Newark Law School decided to merge, and so my co-presenter is
We have Assistant Dean for Information Technology for Newark.
We have similar but dissimilar roles of the two schools, and so we've worked together on quite a few projects, obviously. And so today we're going to talk about video conferencing in legal education. It's kind of misleading title. What we're going to talk about specifically is a little bit about video conferencing, and then we're going to talk about how video conferencing, what we've done with video conferencing in support of the merger of our law schools, which is not yet ABA approved, but hopefully will be soon. And obviously there's a whole lot of discussion about merging two law schools. We're not really going to cover that today. We're just going to talk about what we've done with video conferencing to support the merger of law schools.
So I will start with the first half, and then later Tom will talk about the Codec and whatever the applications that he come up with in Camden. So what is video conferencing? I found it very difficult to define by myself, so I grabbed that dictionary and that's what I come up with. And in real world, there are several forms. This one is a small group that you can check, and we have a setting, several settings in my place where you have 2 or 4 big TVs with some projector and several cameras to have some sort of distance learning capability. And lately, what we've done is the holodeck, or the immersive distance learning classroom, as you can see in the picture. So from my perspective, video conferencing is really about transmitting audio and video plus some content through the network. That's how I define it. So let's start from basics. Audio, you can start with very cheap earpiece, like one close on the left, or you can start with a small group speakerphone and put them together effectively like this, to have everybody in your group covered. And you have to strategically place them in a way that everybody in the group can, the volume cannot be missed. So in our place, we have several, that's our old configuration. We have several directional microphones pointing out from the ceiling and to pick up the audience. And in the newer configuration, we've done in the immersive classroom, we have speaker arrays in the 4 corners so that it covers 360 degrees. And video, just like pretty much all modern computers, they have a built-in video camera, or if you want, you can buy one. That's for personal use though, but if you were dealing with a group of people, you have to buy something like a mobile video camera, like the one showing on the left, the Logitech C3000, or the one showing on the right, the left side's stationary video. The good thing about them is they have wide angle lens, so that they can pick up each and every individual in the classroom. And that's one of our settings in the Dean's conference room. Here you can see it is pretty much standard. One TV set, and on top of it you have a video camera, and then also you have a group speakerphone. In classroom, that's again, we have 2 left side cameras in front of them, just next to the projector screen, and they have 2 on the back. That's our kind of traditional setting. And we have several rooms configured like this, and in that particular room we have 4 TV sets plus one projector for conference display. That's the immersive classroom, and Tom will talk about more on that. And just going back, if you notice, there is a yellow circle that I put in there, and there is the actual video cameras that projects images on the floor panels that you see in the image. And those are medical grade video cameras, so they are very sharp and pretty good. And that's how it looks like from the back end. That we call that dark room. And what's inside the box is the delta projector, which shoots up video to a reflector like this. And then later we display, not later, just reflect that to a diffuser on the front panel. And when we have audio and we have video, now we need to encode them before we can transmit them. So we have to have an encoder, we have to have a coder at both ends to transmit them. And not all encoded data is compressed, but in our case, every data that is pretty much compressed before we got them transmitted. And the way we do compressing is we use the Lucy compressing. So it's Untitled plus a codec, or the left side is video codec, and you have this rock mountable and the IO on the back panel. And that's what we have for the immersive classroom. We have 4 codecs for that particular classroom, and they are all rock mountable. That's how it looks like at the back panel there. And when we do video conferencing, there is a standard, pretty much all, yep.
Just so I understand how this fits together, so there's not any software like stitching it together ahead of time. It's all about pointing it just right and getting everything lined up, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the 4 codecs work independently.
Yeah, but you can realign the camera, so we're not going to do that.
Got it. Okay. Just wanted to be sure I saw how this was.
If you're talking about the immersive room, so the immersive room we pay for a support contract. It's and I'll talk a little bit more about that. There's actually CALIcon reps here in the room that if you have questions afterwards you can ask. It was a major project for us, and we'll have some slides that talk a little bit about that and the costs and everything else.
But you guys are only transmitting 1 camera at a time, right?
No.
You're actually transmitting all 4 at the same time?
Actually, 4 plus 4 if you're talking about those.
Yeah, there's actually 8 cameras that are flying back and forth.
Okay.
In the setup. It's actually really, really neat. And in fact, the one thing that I'm very sad about is that all of the photos do not do it justice. There's some better photos that you'll see, but the real life experience.
So it's immersive in that it's capturing everything.
It's capturing, well, you're going to see, I don't want to take way to this neat little photo that I'll show. We'll talk a little bit about it further. Yeah, we'll get to it. It's pretty neat.
All right. Yeah. Anyhow, when we do audio and video compressing and do codec actually using a standard codec .323 standard. When they make phone calls, when they make video calls, and when you are trying to control over those codecs, that's the standard that they follow. And the actual audio and video are encoded in H.264 plus AAC codec. So everything is, you have to have a point where you can talk to each other, and that's called video bridge. And SCAP, as an example, you code SCAP, you have the SCAP client installed on the computer. But when you're actually using that piece of software, it's actually coding a video bridge in the cloud. You may not know that, but it's a video bridge service. So that's how you can connect to each other. And it's pretty much, you can have a cloud-based solution, or you can have a host your own hardware solution. There are a bunch of video bridge providers. Cisco is mainly focused in the business field, and left side, I think we have universities and schools here.
Right. So one thing that I'll share is life size, and I know I won't speak to the other markets because I can actually follow them, but I know life size is changing their market type of stuff. I don't know if CALIcon's doing the same thing. The market's changing, adapting, I think, to what people are using.
Yeah, but that's this for now. They are quite popular in academia, and CALIcon is trying to get to that area. And we have Microsoft solutions called at Rutgers we had that license for like $300. But the key part is you have to have Windows Server 2008 or above, to be used as the host for Fang. And that server license costs some extra, and plus you have to have your own hardware. And the only not open source per se, but the free video bridge service is video already, and the downside for that is it's pretty good actually. The only downside that I figure is you have to pre-schedule the meeting in advance, and you have to register, and it takes roughly half hour before you can get the meeting started, because you have to pre-schedule and so whether or not to go with a cloud-based solution or a hosted solution, it's exactly per case. In our particular case, our university requires that our cloud-based solution has to be in the U.S. location. They have to use hardware. They have to be inside the U.S. border. But Google, for instance, they have their facilities somewhere in Denmark, I think. Yeah, so we cannot use that particular solution. Maintenance and price are actually something to concern too. When I would prefer a hosted solution, because cloud solution might be cheaper to get started, but later on, when you are trying to maintain your own, when you are trying to, we run into several cases where the vendor, they just jack up the price and we don't have control over it. So we got no place to go but to follow whatever the price is, because kind of getting the service hijacked by them, you have to pay your money to get out. Anyhow, now is the networking. That is the actual network switch that we are using to host the holodeck. It's a Gigabit network switch, and all the codecs are connected to that. The codec actually is 100 megabit codec, so output from them are not that high. But remember, we have 4 codecs at each location and another 4 codec, so these two do add up. So just give you a sense of how big the data we're talking about. We're dealing with compressed data here, so that's roughly 4 codec plus 500 megabit, and there's another 4 codec there, so that's roughly 4 gigabit per hour roughly. And your whatever the network infrastructure you have, if they have to be sufficient enough to handle this kind of bandwidth. And don't forget that those codecs you can dial in and have multiple parties, to get into one video conferencing. So if you have multiple parties, you have to kind of multiply more, get more bandwidth out of that. And not coming from.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm going to talk briefly about what we've done to connect our universities, our separate universities. Rutgers has kind of reimagined itself as a system, much like you would see in California or New York. And so we consider ourselves in Newark University and Camden University in 2 distinct law schools that are going to become one law school. And as you can see, we obviously hosted Cali in 2010, so I don't know if anyone was there, but that is the building that we showcased in 2010 at Cali. And on the right is Newark School, and I think that was built in 1999, 2000, okay, close. And so, obviously we could talk about merging the law schools. What does that mean from a technical perspective? What does it mean from an academic perspective? But today we're just really focusing on what we've done with video conferencing and what we plan to do with video conferencing to help facilitate that. We're also going to show you some demos of a couple different things that we've done. So the first thing is our flagship, which we call the holodeck. It's based on Polycom's RPX immersive solution. This is an example of one of the rooms that we had to do. And this is very important. Not only did we have the cost to buy the immersive system at each location, we also had the cost to renovate the facilities at both locations to accommodate the new room. We didn't have a classroom where we could say, hey, let's just drop it in here and put this system in this room. we had a requirement from the deans that they wanted to have a very large system so that we could have large classes between that. So we have the 28-seat model. We didn't have any physical space either in Newark or in Camden where it would fit. So what we did was we looked at Camden and we said, what rooms really stink? I mean, let's be honest. Look at that classroom. Look at the whiteboards in that classroom. Do you notice that half of them are dark? That's what the light's on, right? So they're just horrible, horrible classrooms. We had 2 of them. They looked exactly like that. And they said, these rooms don't work. They never work. I don't know. Could you read anything that was written on that whiteboard? I have no idea. And so they decided these are the rooms that we want to get rid of. And we're going to demo them. Now, any of you who've ever done a capital plan with your university facilities project would only imagine how much money it cost us to pay our facilities department to demo the 2 spaces, to retrofit our HVAC for the increased requirements. They had to change the ceiling height because of the tiered floor. They had to change the sprinkler systems to accommodate for the ceiling height change. They had to change the sprinkler plumbing, not just move the sprinkler heads up, but the plumbing that was on the floor ran through that room at a certain height. And so they had to reroute all of the sprinkler main pipes that were feeding other parts of the building. And then they also had to paint and do other stuff. So needless to say, the project and renovation alone at each location was a 6-figure bill just to do that. But we got rid of this very beautiful classroom. Here's what Way's room looked like. Used to be. This is what it looked like. So you can see, wow, look at those classrooms. I mean, come on. They are some great rooms.
We got the finest of 1981 going on here.
Yeah, right? This is some great stuff. Right?
And that room's only 5 years old.
Yes. This room here, this was renovated as part of our 2008 renovation project. That was when they ran out of money. So they built a wonderful building on the new side, and they had a little bit of money left over, and they renovated this on the old building.
You was robbed.
So we got this. Pardon?
You was robbed.
So, this is what it looked like as they were starting it. After all of the work had been done with facilities, this was the CALIcon crew coming in over in Camden. So we had a very, very ambitious guideline. We wanted to, I'm sure that at your universities you can move massive POs through very quickly, but at Rutgers it took us like 18 months. Right? I think that's about right. 18 months to get from the point where we had our initial, like, hey, we want to do this, to we were able to say, here's the PO and get this project moving. And so we wanted to have this ready to go by the start of the spring semester, and they actually came in and worked over the holiday break to make sure that, because law school classes start earlier than undergrad classes, but we wanted to have it up and running, and they 100% were done, ready to go, so that we could have our classrooms ready to go. These pictures, like I said, they really don't do it justice, but I'll just show you some quick pictures.
The first one or the second one?
This is Newark's.
Yeah, this is Newark.
Newark's was done before, but they're 100% exactly the same. And you're going to see a picture that kind of illustrates what it would look like visually, but everything is the same. The paint color is the same, the chairs are the same, the tabletops are the same, so you get the 100%, for any of you that have read any literature on immersive technology, you feel like you're in that room with that person. The audio is fantastic, the video is fantastic, and honestly, I hate pictures of video because pictures of video always look like crap to me, right? That's why whenever you see a movie or something, they have moving pictures or an ad, they're always like, picture was simulated, right? Because that's not what it really looks like when you take a picture of it or take a video of it, but it is really unbelievable. Here's the room from the side, so you can see what I was talking about with the tiered heights. We have 2 rows of 10, 1 row of 8 in the middle. Newark uses our room slightly different, but you can see it's got a very nice executive-like style conference table in the front. We actually teach non-immersive classes. The faculty love this room so much that they want to teach regular classes in here. And so we actually, in our room, what happens is we come in, the faculty come in and they pull chairs out of the 2nd and 3rd rows and they bring them down and they line the whole table because they want to just hold their seminar in that room because they really, really appreciate it. And the one thing that you can't tell, again, is the quality of the lighting. So video conference is very important, and the lighting in here, it's all directional, all the grids, everything else, so that when you're sitting and you're looking at the remote site, the person, I don't know if you can tell there's a laser pointer here, but when you're looking at this remote site and you see these people that are sitting in the third row, this picture doesn't do it justice, but when you're sitting here and you're looking at this third row, their face is evenly lit. You can see their expressions. In fact, I think that this looks better than some of our classrooms that are standalone in our building right now, especially the picture of that horrible room that I showed you that we demolished to build this room. So very, very impressive. It is, I think it's like I said, better than in being in the same classroom in some of our great classrooms. So this is kind of like a visual representation. These are both pictures of Wei's site, but what he's trying to illustrate here is that you've got this one site, it connects to the internet, which is obviously, you know, it's Rutgers' private network between Rutgers Camden and Rutgers Newark, which is about 90 miles apart. And then it goes obviously to Newark right now. What's really interesting is that right now we have a 1 gigabit connection between these sites, and we are upgrading it probably by September to 10 gigabit. But we have, I think, we're looking at somewhere in the area of like 0.001 packet loss. CALIcon has been really great to work with. I think it's really funny. Like, to me, I didn't even notice that we were having this packet loss, but we were having a different issue. And the CALIcon engineers are looking at it and they're like, oh, you've got this really weird problem with where there's a memory thing that when it like starts up and this little ding sounds, like you know how your computer turns on, you hear like a dinging noise, and it's like when that happens in like 1 out of 1 million instances, it might drop 1 packet out of 5,000. And our developers have fixed that, and that's coming out like next month. And it's like, okay, wow, great. Nobody complained about that, but you fixed it. That's great. Very, very, very interesting. Here's kind of like a visual representation of what it looks like. Now, to me, this picture is a little misleading because when you're sitting here and you're looking across the table and you see the people here, you know, it's kind of like these seats are here, right? These seats appear to be here, right? And so you're sitting across this table and you're looking at each other. But, you know, they're 100% the same. So here is Newark. This is Camden. So you can see it is the same thing. And you'll notice here, right? See this? Here? It's the same. And you don't even see the carpet.
I'm finding that, is that a mirror image?
Yeah, this is the way I just took the image and flipped it. And stitched it together.
So those are the two locations you're trying to show?
Yeah, we're just trying to show you like the visual idea of what it's like when you're sitting in there. Is that the rooms are 100% the same. And like I said, pictures do not do this screen justice. And another thing that's probably hard to tell is the dimension of the screen. I want to say that this is something like 14 or 16 feet total. 16 feet wide. And I think this is just about a little under 4 feet tall. So you get an idea of what you're looking at in terms of screen size. And like we showed you before, there's actually an individual codec that is mapped behind each screen. So each one is driving it, and the CALIcon software logic is pretty cool in that the primary codec tells all the secondary and tertiary what to do, like when to call in, the way the audio is mapped and everything else. It's pretty neat. And it has this really cool effect, which is that there's only a couple speakers and a subwoofer, but because of the microphone arrays that Wei showed you in the previous thing, as you walk from one side of the room to the other, they change the ambient volume on the sound. So you actually hear a person like you would naturally as they move from one side of the room to the other, versus where traditional distance learning, people wear a microphone, or they have microphones at all the desks, and all you're hearing out of every single speaker is the same exact volume of that person. And so you might say, well, why is that important? And the reason why that's important and what makes this room really, I think, kind of neat is you can have kind of semi-private conversations at different parts of the room, like you would if you were sitting across the board table from someone anyway. If I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you like this and everything else, the person that's over here hears it at a reduced volume, just as if they were in a real singular location, versus traditional distance learning, which would show our conversation at the same volume here as it would here, which would be distracting. So the room really does, I mean, it's one of those impressive, very, very impressive tricks.
Where will the faculty sit?
So what we've done is, if you look right here on the floor, we've put down some gaffing tape, and if you look right, it's kind of hard to see, there's some gaffing tape here. And what these gaffing tape parts illustrate is the angle of the camera lenses coming out, where they capture the video that's being shown at the remote site. So CALIcon has a really cool, I mean, it's not really cool, but one thing they do is they offer this ability where you can flip the screen so that you can see what the cameras are seeing on this screen. So it makes it real nice and easy for us to put these on the floor as a visual cue to the faculty so that they know that they don't go beyond that. Now obviously if they go beyond that, they might go off a screen.
But if the faculty are facing, for example, those two students.
Right. So see here, the remote site, the faculty member has set up their tabletop podium. We have a tabletop podium here. They set up their tabletop podium right here on the side. And so they're kind of standing looking out like this. Just as if you were in a regular seminar room and a faculty member was teaching on a table that was like this. The faculty member would stand at one side or the other generally.
But the other class will see the faculty from behind.
No, it ends up being more like this.
A profile.
They see the side profile. So the faculty members here, they're here,
okay.
They're here, they're here, they're here. Just kind of like it would be natural.
Yes.
It is slightly angled, and we're going to show you a video. You can actually see what we're looking at here. And so on that note, if we can click on this video link right here. So we'll show you kind of. So one thing I want to point out is that for those of you that know, we built our own classroom recording system. So while we did have a lot of money to build this project, and I don't want to spill the beans totally on how much money, but this is a 7-figure investment. Okay, so this is not a cheap thing. But we use our CAM's automated recording system to actually do this. And so I just want to show you a video real quick of what it is that we're looking at. Hop into our, for those of you that are familiar with our video solution. What's all right? See, the one row, here we go. Check this out. So here's the video solution. And again, there's the professor right there talking.
And the other,
and this is actually really funny. This is from Camden's viewpoint. This professor who's teaching is in Newark. This is actually a Camden professor. They actually live up near Newark, and so she comes, she teaches some of her classes here, and then Newark would be watching her remotely.
she's basically standing in the side.
She's standing on the side. It's actually flipped, so she would be like the equivalent here. Newark's room is laid out slightly different. So again, just an example of what the video is and the students. One thing is that you might have recalled in some of Wade's previous slides, the one thing that's a little different about this room is how you show content between both sides, how you share stuff. And so you'll notice that right here underneath this person's laptop here, and here, and here, there's all these different pop-up trays, and underneath there is a 20-inch LCD screen. And so on top of the table here, there's a VGA cable that you can connect to your laptop, that you can then show the content, and on the content channel, all the screens that would be at both sites could see that content.
How many seats total?
28 in each location, 56. But that's of the seats that are here. You could easily squeeze a few more people in there. And so there was a joke that was made that said, "Oh, we can have faculty meetings in this room." And I said, "No, we can't. We have like 32 faculty." And I said, "Oh yes, and do you ever have all 32 faculty show up?" So I think it would work. I think it would work pretty well.
Last 4 that show up don't get a joint.
All right, so here's some statistics. Everybody likes numbers. As I told you, we're very, very happy. We opened on time for January 2015 with 28 students capacity at each location. We offered 5 immersive classes in spring of 2015. We looked at it sort of like as a beta project. We have 7 that are on the schedule right now for fall of 2015, and I just heard that they're adding like 4 more. And they're adding 6 more for spring. These are ones that are on the schedule right now. I think that we're going to end up probably closer to 10 or 11 for fall, and we're going to be closer to 20 classes for spring. And I'm very happy. Now, obviously, this is great. We have a lot of classes in here. We also have done, we have different institutes at the university, and they've done different all-day training sessions, and we're like, wow, this is great. We have this beautiful room. We have it in Newark, and we have it in Camden, and people from New Brunswick They went to Newark to participate, and so there's like, you know what, we need to add this in New Brunswick too. So rumor has it that our main campus will also be adding the same system so that we can collaboratively.
Who decide if a class is going to be immersive? Is it the faculty or the students, depending on the student location?
I mean, it's obviously the respective faculty committees. Now, the only thing that we're, you know, obviously, and I don't want to speak too much to this, but obviously there's an ADA rule requirement that has to do with distance learning and how many credits can be attained by distance learning. I will say that there's been a waiver requested.
Is this considered distance learning?
So there's been a waiver requested to try to get this because unfortunately the way it doesn't look at it at all. And in the way the ABA rule is written, which is very, very unfortunate right now, is that if it's considered a distance learning classroom, if any students are participating remotely, it is currently considered by the ABA distance course. So that means that in this example, all of these students who are here with this professor, physically with them, this counts towards their ABA requirements right now for distance learning, which to us is just shocking. And so they are trying to get that waived, and we think that they'll be successful and that classes that are taught in this room would be considered. But obviously for ABA representatives who are watching, I am no way trying to influence your decision. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. But you know, it's not just classes. It's not just seminars and topics. When you merge two law schools, you're also talking about merging your student bodies, right? It's not, okay, hey, we have class together. That's great. It's everything else. What do we do to support the concept of these unified student bodies? And so we've looked at it as just throwing out 4 different topics. We have career planning, interviews, OCI, right? We now have different, 2 different legal markets, New York and Philadelphia, that are served by our respective students. And we have to look at ways that we can do and service them. We have our law journals. Our law review and their primary law review have already merged. In fact, they've published their first merged volume. We have daily interaction. How do students interact on a daily basis? What do they do? And group study. I'm in a class, you're in a class. Why can't we study together? What is the school going to do to help facilitate us studying together outside of the normal class? And so these are all the types of things that we started to look at, we've started to address already. So the first thing, career planning. Well, this was simple, right? We went into our interview rooms and we added a computer with a webcam. And we gave them Google Hangouts, we gave them Skype, we gave them ClearSeat, which is a desktop client. We gave them, you know, they have GoToMeeting, they have everything. So they have the ability to participate and be interviewed remotely. So if they have an attorney that's coming into Newark and he's conducting OCI, he's doing things like that, they can come, students in Camden and vice versa can participate in those sessions and not be at a disadvantage to their counterparts. Because they don't want to drive 90 miles. We have the law journals. This is our dean's conference room, but what we're going to be doing is we're going to add standalone codecs in the journals. They have their own physical large space, and instead of having a smaller system, we're going to give them a codec so that they can actually do video conferencing in their respective journal meeting rooms. And daily interaction. I put a question mark. I know what I want to do, and I know what we've got the money to do. We're going to build a video wall. A small one, to start, maybe 80 inches, give or take. And we're going to put it in our in our student bridge area, in the cafe area, and we're going to have always on video. Is it a gimmick? Yes, I will totally admit it's a total gimmick. But the idea is that students will feel as much as we can like they're together, that they have a way to interact with each other. Because I think that's important. Otherwise, you know, is the merger just a merger words?
I like the gimmick aspect, but is it going to be interactive? Like, if there was a wall, I'd be like, hey, you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. The hey you function is what we're going for. Absolutely. So the other thing that we've done is we've got something called a Big Blue Button. And Big Blue Button to me is a pretty cool product. We've been using it for a while. And we use it for, it's kind of the poor man's Adobe Connect or what have you. And the reason why I say that is it's free. It's open source, and it's a pretty decent product. And so I'm going to demo it for you. But what it does, which is really neat, is it gives you like these, you know, for anyone that's familiar with it, you have a virtual whiteboard, you can share your webcams, you can share your video, the chat, and everything else. And so if you will humor me for a second, I'm going to do a quick demo of what it does. No, I don't. password. So what we did is we built this in. The Big Blue Button, the software as it is, they have really no kind of thought, scheduling, and system and everything else with it. But they have a very richly documented API. And so we have a lot of coders. And so we built this little interface. So what we did is, this is tied into our learning management system. We have our own. And we gave people the ability to enter anonymous, like faculty can say, let them come into my conference anonymously or let them come in by name. So students could participate in a review session and ask questions anonymously without their name being attributed to it. But we're going to come in here with the name and launch right into this. You can see it's pretty quick. It's right up. And I'm going to allow access to my stuff. We're just going to come here. Yes, we heard it. It's great. You can see that this supports recording. So you can now do recording within the solution, so students could record their session. Again, like I said, this is all open source type of stuff. So if I come in here and I hit start recording, I can share my webcam, start sharing. Okay, we'll see how this works out. All right, so there we go. So I'm publishing my video, I'm interacting with my students, I've got a virtual whiteboard here, I can upload documents, I can write on my whiteboard, I can do whatever I want. I'm a student, we can do this, we can go here. Well, I'm going to steal a file from your desktop, I hope you don't mind. How about our, where's our Cali? Here we go. This one. So I'm going to take the presentation that we're giving you already, we're going to upload it. Give you an example of how quickly it's processing the file. And once you can preload stuff and everything else, I'm saying that and I'm realizing that weighs files like 30 megabytes in size with multiple videos. So while we wait for it to actually do something.
Still going faster than our connected.
Yeah. So that was great. Now, I should have probably tested that one out before I showed you. But there you go. It's moving along pretty nice.
So the list of students show up on the...
Yeah, the list of students that would be in here. And you can see that Tim so nicely in the back has joined us. Thank you, Tim. He's right here. So everyone can join in. I'm currently set as the presenter. Tim also has presenter capabilities, so don't steal it from me. So the students wouldn't have it. But there you go. So now what's really cool is if I'm working, and if everyone wants to turn and look at Tim's laptop, he'll turn around and show you his laptop, and everyone can see what he would see, which is exactly what you see on the screen right there. There you go. All right, so he sees that in real time. That's being streamed. If you had a webcam or anything else, it's being listening. Meanwhile, the whole time we're doing this, Big Blue Button is recording us and making it available for students to see. Tim's obviously said hi, everyone, everything else. I'm coming through my slides. I can kick through them just so you can see again, performance is great. I can mark them up, I can do whatever I want. I can upload multiple presentations. When I upload those multiple presentations, all that markup is saved and everything else. So we're pretty happy with it. We use it for tutoring in our undergrads. I'm just going to come here, I'm going to hit yes, I want to stop recording. Then I'm going to exit out of my session. And now what's really cool is at the same time I've exited out, as soon as Tim also leaves it and the Big Blue Button determines that nobody's left in the conference, the video processing will continue. And at some point, as soon as it processes all of that, it'll all be available here in our audio video tab. This is again, you can see here's a web conference meeting I did before at 2000. On the second. And so what we'll do is we'll come back to this before the end of the session, and we'll watch that quick recording that we just did. I think that'll be pretty neat. So if we can skip back to the slides. Where am I? Oh, you know what? I think I hit resume. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right. Thank you. I don't have, I'm not a huge fan of PowerPoint, I'm sorry. I think there was another talk going on right now about how PowerPoint was evil. I probably would have been there if I wasn't here. So the other thing that we wanted to talk about was not only did we do the online type of thing with the Big Blue Button, we've also have a slew of what we call group study rooms, smart group study rooms. For any of you that came in 2010, you'll know that we've added This is actually our undergrad library. It's just a picture I grabbed. I'm sorry, it's the picture, the lights are out, that's why the picture's not that great. I did just grab that rather recently, but we put 42-inch TVs in all the group study rooms. We have computers or computer hookups. We have Apple TVs. We have recording, broadcasting solution. We have about 160 high-definition cameras on campus. Every single one of them can record. Every single one of them can broadcast live on the net. In the group study rooms, they're push-button record capable. So we have the ability for students that would be at remote sites could do like recording of their group study sessions. They could stream them. They could log into everything else. For me, the really big important thing is that trying to talk about how we've used video conferencing to facilitate the merging of the schools. Obviously, it's a lot more involved than just that one perspective, but it's been pretty neat. I'm pretty excited about it. We have a beautiful, beautiful immersive classroom in what we call the holodeck. It's kind of a name that kind of some of the more Star Trek-y type of faculty members and deans they started calling it that early on, and the name has stuck. And so with that, do we have any questions? Because I think we've got 20 minutes left here. Yes?
I attended a conference at Missouri S&T Engineering School a few months ago, and they have this learning program where they have green screens and a control room, and they have a staff of, I think, 15 people that run 4 classrooms. Do you have people on hand? How many people are involved in the day-to-day use of your classroom?
We don't do anything. So the system is really, if I could just kind of skip back, let's go back here a little bit. See this little touch panel?
That's okay.
Right here? No, I'm going to answer the question before but you see this little touch panel? Right? This touch panel, you touch it and it says Newark, like Camden favorites. You just click it and they call on auto connect. It's designed to be really simple. When we first started in January, we always made sure that there was an IT tech person available to go to the room to make sure that they got connected okay. But honestly, it's designed to be extremely user-friendly. In fact, I couldn't tell you the last time we sent a staff member to make a normal call. Like if we have an issue or something like that, obviously they would go up. To answer your question, we're a little different. I'm a campus level service provider. We have 25 staff members. I guess I don't want to think that's 25 people supporting it. It's really not. We also paid, you can imagine on the 7-figure solution, we also have great service. We're paying for it, but it's actually, I think the price is, and I don't want them to hear this close their ears. You might keep paying for it again? Because the service is fantastic. I was on the phone with, and I'm going to share this story, I hope I don't get anyone in CALIcon in trouble. I was on the phone with one of the engineers. He's actually in the photo that I showed you earlier. He lives in Colorado, actually. I didn't know if you knew that, that he lives here. We were having a problem, and I called him back to say, hey, look, can we just try to talk through the phone? He's like, well, let's decide quick because I'm at the airport to fly to Philadelphia to help you. So I got to tell you, I'm just like, wow. And by the way, we fixed it in 10 minutes on the phone, but he was there ready to come to help us. So obviously we're paying for that. But
another thing is CALIcon did recommend it once a month that we should restart all the codecs to resynchronize all of them so that we don't have any problem.
Right. So I'll tell you, we're not alone in having this system. There's 2 other law schools. I only knew of one, but I found out there's 2 or more. There's more 3.
I'm only aware of one, but maybe some.
Oh no! I'm thinking of Georgetown's not a law school. Georgetown has a system. There's a law school that has this in North Carolina.
North Carolina Central University.
There you go. North Carolina Central University has it. Anyone here from there? No. Okay.
The IT person is here. No, the librarian is here. But so you were saying, so it's 7 figures to kit out a room, which is what NCC paid too. They had a grant from the state for other reasons. So y'all are kitting out like 12 rooms.
Well, we have 2 rooms right now.
2, but
they're going to add. I don't know how many they're going to add. I won't expect
that'll be a university. So is the university picking this? Okay, from a capital expenditure point of view, which you mentioned, is the university buying that, or the law schools buying that, and is the service part an operational annual, or is it part of the capitalized expense?
Okay, so the answer to that question is So bear with me here. We got New Jersey, so as many other law schools probably received one-time infusions of capital. As was said in other meetings that talked about the merger, the President's office at Rutgers is very supportive of the merger of the law schools. And so there were some one-time funds that were made available to the law schools. Newark used for their side of the expense, the acquisition was funded by those one-time funds from the President's office, is my understanding. There's some renovation fees that were maybe picked up at the campus level there. In Camden, we had a bond that we had applied for from the state. It was a Building a Better Future Bond Act. And we went before the state and we reallocated that money, which is one of the reasons why it took so long. Because we had to follow this very formalized process to move that money from the one funding source to the other approved funding source so that we could buy the capital investment in this. In terms of ongoing capital costs, even though it is expensive, it's not that expensive, and we have the money to pay for that out of what we call our student rate. So we have 100% of all the costs will cover up front, and we've got the capital. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear this to maintain the system moving forward. So it's for us, it's it's done, it's paid for.
What do y'all think your capacity is for students under this system?
I think a lot of that will depend on the ABA.
And let's just say they give you a Penn State variance.
Yes, okay, so if they give us and that's what we obviously go for. My goal would be to have a class in here every minute and offer, because the only issue, and honestly, how many of you have faculty members who have office hours that are like 30 minutes before the class starts and then online? You can contact me anytime via email, right? So to me, I'm not sure that the faculty member not being here is that big of a deal. What I think might be more of a big of a deal is trying to facilitate students studying with each other. And so we're trying to do that outside of that. But I really would love to see this room occupied all the time. Because to me, the pictures really don't do it justice, where if you were in there and you saw it, it really is just like, hey, like I'll tell you right now, I'm standing here looking at a lot of you, and on this screen, the people are better lit than you. I mean, the lighting, here, I mean, your faces are dark. And anyone that's done video, if you go in and do video, I mean, how many systems look like, sorry, I'm not trying to pick on you, right? I'm going to go back to the picture of your room that you've got, which is, okay, sorry, let's keep going. This room. Look at this lighting that you can see. You can't see people's facial expressions. You can't. Yeah, I know. It's the camera, it's the light. There's a half dozen different reasons why it doesn't work as well. But there is no comparison between this system, which is what most people have when they think of distance learning, and this system. There's no comparison. And these pictures, like I said, they don't do it justice. It is a beautiful thing.
The sad thing is that's still brighter than one of my primary video conferencing rooms. Instead of the dark spot being on the audience, ours is on the lectern.
Great!
All I ever see is just this dark shadow in front of the PowerPoint.
You really can't see, but the way the diffusers are in all the lights and the bulbs and everything else, the way they deflect out and give the lighting, it's a really nice thing. So. I'm just curious why we're sitting here, to see if we've gotten any progress on our video. No, not yet. I think, unfortunately, sending all that stuff, but eventually it will automatically appear there and be viewable. And to kind of give you a quick idea of what it would look like, we'll bring up the one that's here now. And the screen size has been shrunk a little bit because of that, but there I am at my office and everything else, so they can hit play. So, on that note, we'll go back to this and jump all the way to the end where we say questions. So, any other questions for us today? Wow, really? I answered all of them. That's great. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you appreciated this and gave you some ideas that you can at least take back. I mean, obviously not everyone is merging law schools in here, but anyone who is interested in any of this technology, let me know. I think Big Blue Button is something everyone can find an idea for if you're not already using something like that. And also, obviously everyone's got desktop type video-based stuff. I think there's more and more cloud solutions will come out. Thank you, everyone.